With this energy of the Ace of Pentacles, somebody knows that you are waiting for clarity. You are waiting for confirmation from them that the chemistry, the potential between the two of you is mutually felt. This is somebody it feels like that you've been talking to for a while or you've been flirting with, but there has not really been any kind of like serious exchange as far as, okay, let's get serious, let's consider ourselves a couple, let's consider ourselves exclusive, let's make this like a real thing, let's make this a done deal. And so this person also is aware, that until that happens, until that conversation takes place, or they claim you in the light of day, that you are likely going to consider yourself, still available to other potential suitors, other options. Until they make things official, you answer to nobody. You're still on the market. Should anybody else come forth with a little more certainty or, a different sort of approach and strategy. So this is somebody it feels like that is tired of kind of just waiting to sort of feel things out. The moment feels right. This is like a now or never kind of energy. So for a lot of you, expect this person to come towards you with that clarity that you have been seeking. This is the type of person that knows you need something direct. You are, giving as much as you are willing to give as far as like a vague energy or maybe things that are still in the early stages between the two of you. And so until this person kind of says that out loud, is the one to initiate that conversation that can lead to things advancing further between the two of you. They may be sensing that you're starting to pull your energy back, you're starting to look around. They know that you're not just going to linger in this energy of uncertainty with them forever. So they have to make a move. They have to say something. With the King of Cups, this is definitely somebody that has thought, am I ready to have a relationship? Am I ready for things to go to the next level? This might have been someone who is very deliberately keeping things casual because they were at a point in their life where they're just sort of like, I just got out of a relationship, I'm not looking to jump back into something, or they'd been single for a while and kind of just got stuck in that routine of searching, looking, not getting too emotionally attached to anyone in case, they split or the feelings weren't mutual or something like that. And so this is somebody that has had to kind of wake themselves up emotionally and really kind of get serious with the understanding that there is an opportunity between the two of you here. You have a connection, you have a lot in common. The exchanges between the two of you so far have been very pleasing to them, but in order to secure their position with you, there needs to be more expression, more clarity, more of a peek into those kind of like deeper feelings that they have, or else you're just gonna set your sights elsewhere, you're gonna navigate elsewhere, or you're gonna stand in that energy of kind of like keeping your options open, which opens you up to potentially other people coming along that aren't in that kind of operating on autopilot in an emotional sense, kind of a vibe. They don't have that going on where there's a connection, there's a spark, and somebody that may be a little more proactive may move at a faster pace with you. This is something that this person wants to avoid, kind of getting pushed aside by any sort of unforeseen suitors that could be lurking around, or anyone that you could encounter, or even kind of just you sort of saying, well, it doesn't seem like anything much is going to progress here. It's unclear, it's vague, so I better set my sights elsewhere. I better like put my feelers out there. I better continue to sort of move through the world as a single person, because this person that I'm dealing with, that I'm having these like conversations with, that I'm having these encounters with, it's fine as it is, but there's like a surface level to it. This person can tell that like you want more depth. You are ready. Hints and suggestions that you have given to them of sort of like, I'd like to explore something more, ways in which you've kind of tried to direct the conversation towards other things, and they may have just sort of stonewalled you, or acted very oblivious, maybe got triggered and sort of closed off to you. They understand that that is something that is not going to be an approach or a reaction that is going to satisfy you for very long. So this is somebody that is trying to kind of get out of their own way in this circumstance, so they don't end up sabotaging this opportunity. They don't end up self-sabotaging, because it feels like with this King of Cups, they do like you. They like you a lot, and they would like to, explore some of like the benefits, the perks that come with exploring things on a deeper level, emotionally, parts of yourself, like doors to your heart, or the inner sanctum of who you are, that you will unlock only when you are given certainty from the person that you're interacting with. This is somebody that recognizes like you got these boundaries in place. Yeah, you're very generous in terms of the give and take, but they understand that they got to like earn access to that next part of you. That if they continue to operate in this like vague or sort of reserved energy, that there's only so much that they are going to be able to, kind of taste of the full essence, the emotions, the intimacy that you are capable of like giving to another person. This is definitely somebody that wants something more. They're not satisfied just with kind of dipping their toe in the water. They're not satisfied with things kind of just being in this very casual or very vague sense. This is somebody that wants something more. We also have the Queen of Swords. Yeah, so this is somebody, it feels like, that is trying to kind of like coax themselves to just speak their truth, just, say what's on their mind, just kind of like start that conversation in the direction of like, I think we have a great thing going on. I really like you. I like talking to you. I like spending time with you. But I think it's time that we sort of discuss what comes next. And there's a fear almost of this person maybe not living up to your expectations as far as what would feel sort of like the next inevitable step as far as romance is concerned. There's a sense of like, what if I disappoint you? What if we work on this like surface level, this casual level, the dynamic as it is at this point in time, but as we kind of like let those masks drop, and we become more authentic, this becomes more real between the two of us. This is somebody that is almost like very afraid of kind of like catching deeper feelings for you, like falling in love with you, but being the only person to fall in love. This could be somebody in the past that had like experiences of limerence, one-sided connections, or things where they were just really bamboozled. They thought that everything was going really well with the person they were in a relationship with or they were talking with. And then all of a sudden, they were kind of just notified one day, like, hey, I've met somebody else, or, they were like ghosted or blocked and kind of just left wondering, like, what did I do wrong? How did that happen? Like it totally came out of left field. And so that's a bit of wounding, it feels like, within this person that has made them a little bit cautious at this point in their life. But it doesn't feel to be anything that is enough of a block that is going to like restrict them from taking those steps forward to open up, to have that conversation, even just start to kind of expand the nature of your conversations towards things that are a little more long term, making more stable plans between the two of you, talking about the future, not just in kind of like, we're just talking and it could turn into something or turn into nothing, but sort of like, okay, let's plan something for next week. Let's plan something for next month. Let's make this follow through. This may also be somebody that reveals a little bit of sort of deeper things about themselves that lets you know something about kind of like a softer side of them, a hidden side of them, something that is in that territory of where kind of that vulnerability exists, that sense that they feel very drawn to you, very attracted to you, very connected to you. But there's a hesitation on their part. Like, I really like where this is going, but there's a part of me that is afraid if I fall in love, I'm going to be the only one falling in love. And so it feels like this is somebody that wants to try and not sort of express that to you out loud, because it feels like that would be something that would just, it would be too much of an exposure of like their weakness. But it's something that they want to kind of, hint at or bring a little more clarity to. Like, yeah, I want to progress forward with you, but I want to make sure we're on the same page with that. So this is somebody that may, as those conversations become like deeper, or they start to talk about other things, this may be something where they're like checking in with you for that validation. Like, are you still cool? Are you still good? Does this still feel right? Am I doing everything right? Tell me what are your needs, wants, and desires, and things that they may be opening up about for themselves as well, just to make sure that it's not like, okay, we take this step forward and they just assume that it's working for them, so it's working for you. So this is somebody that you may notice that, not like they come across as clingy, but that they keep sort of, revisiting that kind of threshold of like, okay, we're stepping beyond this into something a little more serious, into something a little more defined between the two of us. But then like, even kind of bringing up like, I'm so glad that we did this. This feels right. Kind of opening up and expressing to you, like letting you know how positive of an experience that is for them, what like a relief that is to kind of like finally have that conversation, or to start to sort of move beyond just sort of casual flirtation, suggestion, or just like surface level things that you've been talking about, but then like checking in with you to make sure, like, are you enjoying this as I am? Is this like a mutually satisfying experience? Are the ground rules that we've reestablished with one another, or maybe are defining for the first time, is this like meeting your needs and your requirements as well? We also have the Nine of Cups. Yeah. So this person, again, like they really enjoy spending time with you. They really enjoy getting to know you. This is somebody that, is very kind of like guarded as far as their own emotions are concerned, but they also don't want to like create unnecessary heartbreak. It feels like, as far as past circumstances where rejection kind of like caught them by surprise, this was almost a sense of sort of like they felt really bad because if the person they were with had just like spoken up about certain things, they almost feel like, I could have done something about that. I could have, given more to the situation. I could have changed certain things about myself. But then they might have even like said that to someone and it was like, well, it's too little too late. I've met someone else, or I don't love you anymore. I don't feel the same way. And so this is somebody that feels like that once they kind of get over that fear of sort of like, okay, if we take things further and I fall in love with you, like I have to trust in that experience. I can't be like waiting for the other shoe to drop. But this is also somebody that feels like that this next step involves a very conscientious person, a very conscientious lover. They're going to want to keep checking in with you. Like, is this good? Does this feel right? Am I doing everything right? Am I showing up in the right way? Because in the past they just sort of assumed that both people in the situation were happy and it was only them, and the other person was kind of like, just sort of keeping their dissatisfaction to themselves in a certain way until it became so much pressure inside that the only solution was to walk away from the circumstance. So this person doesn't want like history to repeat itself in this situation with you, as has happened with someone else. But this is also somebody that is mindful of kind of like a tendency to self-sabotage, both in terms of just like assuming maybe that whoever they're in like a partnership with, that like, okay, you're telling me you're happy, you're saying that you love me, we're saying those words to one another, and that means that it's like reaching those same deeper levels with one another. But this is also somebody, it feels like, that also understands that there is this kind of like need for reassurance, that at this point in time they're almost seeing that as something that could, if they express that out, that may be something that sabotages the potential between the two of you. So this is somebody, it feels like that they're kind of fretting at this particular point in time. There's a little bit of anxiety with this energy. Like, it feels right. It feels like you've given them the signal to like approach, to open up more, to express more of themselves. But then there's a sense of kind of like, I already like you so much that if I allow myself to like fall in love with you, if we fall in love, if something like really serious happens between the two of us, that would just be devastating. If you decided one day that I wasn't what you wanted anymore, or if you weren't really happy the whole time and I was just so wrapped up in my own contentment that I failed to understand that I could have been doing something more, I could have been showing up more, I could have been recognizing ways in which we were drifting apart as opposed to growing closer together. So it feels like this is somebody that, as things progress between the two of you, you're going to really help to like heal some of the insecurities within this person, because it feels like this is somebody who is now kind of forcing themselves to be more of a giver than they have been, like giving more attention, paying more attention to little things, and being very kind of like accountable, being very like, I'm not just going to assume we're happy, but I'm going to want to keep those energies and those conversations like very fresh between the two of us, so that we can make sure that like what is happening is really in alignment with what we each want. This is somebody, it feels like that at this point in time, that emotional closeness is a big priority. They trust that kind of like taking steps forward would be in the highest good of the two of you, but there's also the sense of them knowing like, I have insecurities as a result of experiences in the past, but I don't want to let that cloud my judgment. I don't want to let that be something that interferes with the potential between us. We also have the Hierophant. Yeah, so this is somebody, again, that is wanting to kind of like break the pattern of previous relationships, where they had been kind of like the only one that really fell in love. Something where it might have even been a connection and then it turned into limerence, or sort of like they were getting 10 steps ahead of themselves and the person that they were with is like, well, I don't really know how I feel about you. Something where this person has been kind of like humbled. They're a little bit afraid of that happening again, where it's kind of like they need to walk walk very closely with you through this next stage of experience with one another to make sure that it's like, they are delivering on the reality of kind of like who you're assuming that they are. This sort of invitation, this promise, this offer to kind of like, let's take things further, let's explore this deeper. That as that plays out in real time, that it's something that actually is what you want, that you are really happy with that, you're really satisfied with that. Any sort of like fears that you have that may surface, that are triggered. This is somebody that is like, I want you to be able to address that with me. I don't want like problems to just sort of like sit beneath the surface and then they become bigger problems that then sort of, erode our relationship from within. I want this to be a circumstance where once I kind of profess to you this desire for something more, that we keep those lines of communication open. We keep that as something that is kind of at the forefront of what this next chapter between the two of you will involve. So it's like you have a foundation with one another, but this is somebody that almost wants to kind of walk with you through like a minefield of these different sort of fears, or fears of history repeating itself, so that the two of you can really establish with one another, like, yeah, we've taken this leap of faith with one another, the time felt right, it feels right for this person, to initiate that kind of conversation and to move that forward to the next level, and then to also make sure that it's satisfying everything that you are like imagining is going to be possible with them, that the reality of that is playing out in a way that you feel fulfilled, so that you're both kind of falling in love together. You're both moving in the same direction as far as the partnership is concerned. That there is nothing that is kind of like building beneath the surface. That it's all clear. It's all sort of like out in the open between the two of you. So those are your messages. I hope that they resonated with you and that you enjoyed the reading. Like or comment to claim these energies. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see more content that I put out here. Don't forget to hit the bell button to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you would like to book a personal reading with me, I offer those through my Etsy shop, and there's a link for that below. I hope to see you again in another reading. Please take care and be well.